This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Marc.
Welcome back to the Let's Talk Business podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about a unique approach to lead generation on social media platforms such as Facebook and Nextdoor. I'm super excited about this particular conversation because when Andrea told me about this initially, I saw the future in it right away. I was like, oh, this is a really good business idea. And I'm a huge fan of Blue Collar Connect and what you guys got going on over there. So this was just a great segue into our show. In studio with us today is Andrea Garza, a pioneer in the done-for-you social media lead generation service, which is designed to help businesses connect with high-quality leads through a strategic, hands-off approach to social media management. Andrea, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
You're actually a veteran. You've been here before.
I know. Second time.
All right. Also in the studio with us today is Alexander Randall, the owner of Stride Pest Control here in San Antonio. Alex has firsthand experience with the DIY approach to this type of social media lead generation service. Alex, welcome back to the show. You've also been here before.
Thanks, Marc. It's good to be back.
Also in studio with us today is Jon LaFevers. Am I saying that right?
LaFevers, just like it looks.
All right. I love that. Owner of the Good Old Boys Moving and Packing. Jon also has firsthand experience with the DIY approach to this type of social media lead generation service. Jon, first timer, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Is this your first podcast?
Never done anything like this before in my life.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I like doing new things. And, well, not having fear and just jumping off into things is kind of how I've gotten to be where I am today.
Yeah, just turn that fear into excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. All right, I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Krukus Virtual Staffing, a company that recruits and staffs experienced overseas administrative assistants for insurance agents and attorneys. If you're curious about the most common tasks that virtual assistants are doing for your business, head over to our website at krukus.com and grab a list of the top 20 tasks that BAs are doing for businesses like yours. The link is in the podcast description. All right, so Andrea, can you give us kind of a 35,000-foot view about your, I guess, your goal or your vision for a done? Well, let's start with social media lead generation. Teams, kind of like how you guys already have going on with Blue Collar Connect. So start with explaining that a little bit, and then what's the vision going forward?
Sure, absolutely. So social media platforms, I feel like they're often forgotten as a marketing tool or as a business tool. We think of it probably as social part, the social aspect of it. But obviously when we started with Blue Collar Connect, we all came together. We started doing this shout-out strategy to help each other generate leads. So we have a little marketing strategy going on with the Facebook groups, with Nextdoor platforms as well. And we just help each other. But it is do it yourself. So it is, you have to be a little bit technical. There's time involved, obviously. Just tagging each other, looking attentively at, the requests that come through the different Facebook groups. So, yeah, it takes time. It's as business owners, we're busy. I'm pretty active on social media, so I usually jump on it a lot. But there's days where I'm super slammed and I don't even open my Facebook, right? And like that, there's a lot of business owners like that. Mostly even owner-operators, for example. It's very challenging for them to be proactively engaged, checking their social media, which groups or what, people are looking for their services. It's just the time management aspect.
And the mental bandwidth, right, to even just kind of, all right, what are the groups that I'm in? How am I getting to them easily? How long is this going to take me? All that kind of stuff. What's your vision for the done-for-you version of the service?
To help business owners. Again, about a year ago when we started all this, it wasn't planned, but it was something like, okay, let's try this. It doesn't hurt to put your name out there, to put your business card. The more active you are. And then it just became like a snowball effect. So little by little, all of us here started getting those phone calls, right? How do you find me? Oh, Facebook. Oh, how do you hear about me? Facebook. Sometimes not even the person that posts the request. I'm looking for a mover. I'm looking for pest control. They might not even reach out, but someone else does. So I would say you are establishing digital real estate within those groups because it doesn't go away. It's there. If they search for that your category, it exists. So to me, that's very powerful.
So, and John, you run a moving and packing company here in San Antonio. I know you're very active in the networking community. A lot of people know you, which is fantastic. Facebook and Nextdoor or social media platforms is a way to kind of get more marketing out there. How long have you been involved with this type of DIY service, and what have you experienced so far?
So for me, it was kind of interesting. I've always been kind of an offline, in a way, person. I'm not the guy that just sits there on social media all day doom scrolling. But when I was trying to think of ways to run the company leaner as a startup without much capital, I was like, well, there's this incredible tool that I hate using, and there's all these people on these Ask a Local groups, and they'd pop up every once in a while. And so I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I am doing the sales and marketing for the company. I have all this time on my hands when I'm sitting in parking lots, in between going and doing things, waiting for appointments. How can I use that time productively? And I realized that a really good way to do that is to just sit on Facebook and scroll through looking for all those posts where they're asking for things. It's free. And if you're just doing it in your downtime, then it's not really something I felt was creating a mental burden for me. And as the more you post, the more groups you're getting involved in, the more people start seeing you out there, it has this kind of compound knock-on effect. So I've been able to, in the last 2 years, hugely increase our online presence and visibility just by logging into Facebook for an hour or so each day and training the algorithm to show me more of those posts so I can engage with people more online.
And so the breakup or the makeup of this, Andrea, is that you have a team of business owners in WhatsApp, right? And then when there's a post or somebody's asking for a particular kind of service, then that information is put into the WhatsApp group. Mm-hmm. And then everybody kind of pounces on that and then supports that person. Like
right.
if it's pest control they're asking for, and you say, well, no, Stride Pest Control is who I use, and then you just kind of compound on that, correct?
Right.
Yep.
So with respect to the team aspect of this, now this is you're talking about you spending time
correct
on the platforms, I guess cultivating your own, presence on those so that the algorithm favors you. But what are your thoughts on the team aspect and how that's worked and the benefits for yourself?
So every single customer that we get, we ask them how they found out about us. And over time, so many people were saying Facebook, the specific group, Facebook online, Facebook. We started really taking the time to go in and look at those posts and see who exactly was commenting, the words that were said. And there's a lot of data that we have from customers that shows, like, for instance, once you have 5 or more people that are commenting saying your name, that represented roughly a 50% chance higher that they would call me, just based off the posts that we were mentioning in total versus the amount of calls we got from them. It's all kind of rough math, but the more people that you have commenting, the greater chance you have of getting a call to action from that person.
So were you getting these comments, was that from the team activity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's from others. That's not from what I'm doing. I found it more useful to only post for myself after I've been tagged. Especially in Texas, where we have this unique culture of respect and hospitality. I get a lot better traction, I feel like, out of saying, hey, thank you for shouting me out, guys. Yes, ma'am, I'm able to help you out.
Do you think you would have gotten the response you've gotten without being a part of this team concept?
Absolutely not. It's too... You're trying to impact too much by yourself. You can't create enough of a wave to really affect it. But when you have a team of people going out there and shouting you out, like I've had customers tell me, you had so many people say your name, I didn't feel that I could call anyone else. And that is the easiest sale in the world. when a customer is already convinced that
Yeah.
you're the right person to go with before they've even talked to you.
And you pay for marketing, I would imagine.
Nope.
You're doing everything just yourself.
With the exception of BNI, I don't pay for, and Blue Collar Connect, I don't pay for any marketing at all.
So you pay for networking opportunities. You're not
Correct.
paying for marketing.
Yep. Now,
So-
granted, that's an approach that really only works for someone in my position. You know, I'm single. I don't have kids. The business kind of is my sole responsibility. So I have more free time than a lot. But for me, it's been very successful not paying for marketing yet.
Now, so the paid for you version of this, which Andrea is going to be launching soon, is really, it's this done for you service. And I don't know that we've priced it completely out yet, but do you think that a service like this, that is where you don't have to be there to answer and to participate because you're a business owner out there doing a service, do you see value in having somebody else do that for you?
Oh, 1,000,000%, right? Like, not everybody's in the position or has the natural skill with social media that I do, right? I'm only 31 years old. I'm built a little bit different than a lot of business owners. Not everybody has the opportunities that I do. This represents an opportunity to gain this kind of exposure and this kind of positive, like, call to action on Facebook and other networking social media sites. There's absolutely value in that.
Are there any
100%.
negatives that you've experienced in the team concept that you were a part of?
No.
Anything that could be improved?
Improved, yes. So you always want to train people to be better at referring you, right? You want the people that are referring you to be your salesman, and you have to train your salesman. One thing that I would suggest is always have them include a phone number or a website or a link, a call to action. I've found that that has a lot more rate of return than posts where it's just like Jon LaFevers, right? The more detailed the post is, the more that you, like, if they're posting about, hey, I need a couple pieces of furniture moved out to the dumpster, if that gets referenced in the comments by people that are tagging me, that comment has a significantly higher chance of getting them to give me a call.
And that's a perfect lead into systemizing, you know, through, you know, employees that actually do this for the business owners.
Right. And through keywords as well. Just like he mentioned, the team that would take care of this done for you service, you know, would elaborate that script or response. You don't want, of course, a copy paste version, you know, but it has to be genuine. It has to be, like you said, call to action. And when you have a team that is monitoring these groups, that's their job, right? 8-10 hours a day, they're not going to miss those opportunities. So as long as they hit those, or as long as the responses are on point, it's going to create that snowball effect at a larger extent.
So you get faster, like, response to these types of things, and then they're scripted in a way that it's more on point. So you're hitting all of the important points.
Exactly.
Very good. Anything with respect to the service, the DIY service you've experienced that you feel like, you know, you want to get out there that we didn't hit on?
So there are specific groups that are going to be better for different vendors. There's 4 specific groups that I identified that have different kind of ways to interact with them. One is like the contractors groups. Those are all price-based. The people in there don't really care about stories of how good you did. They want the lowest price bidder. So you have to attune to that group. But the huge one for me is the mom groups, specifically mothers around Stone Oak. We've generated over 100 jobs in less than a year from that one Facebook group. And it's only 16,000 moms. And I'm not even in that group. I don't even have a chance to respond. But there's a couple people like Andrea, like Kim Folden, that are in that group. And because that group is so tight-knit, that they just genuinely respect the advice from people coming in there. It's not self-promotion. A referral in a group like that has a huge chance of you getting that call to action.
You know, and this brings up a really good point, Andrea, is that when we're picking the types of clients, those have to be screened as well, because the higher quality the client, the better opportunities are available, the better chance of response that everybody who's a part of that benefits from.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, and it's also, I feel like it's also part of being genuine when you're recommending someone. It's going to be different, of course, from blue collar. Blue collar, you're building relationships. You know these people. You see them every week sometimes. But with the done for you, these are business owners that don't have time. They don't have the time, or they don't know how, right? They don't do social media. So that's why they're paying for this service. So it is our job to make sure that these clients or these contractors are top notch.
Well, not only top notch in their field, but also if they're well respected in the online community, right? If somebody is part of a mom's group, that has tremendous value for someone who can't even get into that group. So that's another selling point of the service, but it also means you got to get good quality people that have access to these particular types of groups.
And I don't want to get sidetracked, but that is also the importance of optimizing your own Facebook profile, your business page, but also your personal Facebook profile. That's going to be part of those groups. And that's something, of course, that we all know, we do. But again, we have the time, do it yourself. But if you don't know, you need someone that knows all of these aspects. And that way they can optimize your profile and help train your algorithm, like you were mentioning, in order to get those posts that are relevant to you.
Awesome. Love that. All right. So, Alex, you've been in one of these groups for how long now?
I've been doing this, the entire time we've been doing this this form of networking or marketing, I have been involved. And so I was involved in the initial initiation of it.
Has that been a year yet?
Yeah, I think it's been just about a year we started, and it took a little bit of a ramp time. I was looking at my data in my CRM actually just today to kind of, in preparation for this. I was looking through some things and I saw a nice peak. It does correlate somewhat to season, especially when trade services, we're talking about trade businesses, are very seasonal. And so that's when I noticed, for example, that pest control for my industries, it picks up right in conversation in all the groups. And so as soon as spring came around and those things picked up in conversation, I started getting lots of calls from these kinds of groups.
Okay, so John had mentioned like 100 jobs. What has been your experience so far?
Yes, I don't have an exact number. We calculate it in multiple different things. So sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's associated with some kind of networking group that I'm a part of. I know the people in that group are mentioning me, so I had to grab those three and kind of put them together. The best I could kind of figure out was at least, low, 50 to 100 in that range. And there was a big spike I saw in my monthly reoccurring from those leads. That's your advantage, right? The huge value is the monthly recurring that you're getting. Not so much on John's side. He doesn't have monthly recurring, or do you?
I was actually going to say that 100 jobs, that was just from the Mothers Against Stone Oak.
Oh.
50 to 90% of our jobs are currently coming from Facebook leads, and we're going to do over 450 jobs this year.
Okay.
It's
huge.
It's huge.
Wow. So social media does work. It's for folks that are out there buying Facebook ads and all that kind of stuff. I don't see that having the impact of being recommended by people in groups like this.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And like John, I don't pay for any other marketing other than my networking that I do. I have in the past, but I don't currently. But I would say that social media is probably my second, following Google, which I don't pay for Google, but just people finding us online. It's probably my second highest source of leads.
So let's talk about the benefits of this since you've been in it. What are the high points for you being in this do-it-yourself kind of version of social media lead generation using kind of a team concept?
Well, if we're talking about the team concept, the great thing about it, like any network, is that it's expanded my reach way beyond my personal capabilities, right? And so, I live in one part of San Antonio, and I have contacts that have been contributing to this group all over San Antonio, and groups that they help me get into, groups that I wasn't even aware existed unless you have all the time in the world, which I do not. And so between work and family and other things of that nature, and so being able to get into those groups quickly, and then obviously having them tag me in those things was very beneficial. For myself, I did find very early on that I did become what a blessing, inundated by so many tags that it was hard for me to comment on them all. And so I did rather quickly end up passing that over to one of my employees. I'm like, I can't keep up with all these posts. I don't have time. I'm not just the salesperson in my company. I have a lot of other hats I need to wear. And so it's been awesome, but I've had to go through some growing pains as far as making it effective, because once again, if I don't answer those quickly, then I usually lose that. And so I want to be fast.
So, I mean, that's a great segue into the done for you service. And now that you've kind of heard the concept around it, what are your thoughts about a done for you service? Is it, I guess it's appealing, but why would it be appealing?
I think it's appealing for a couple of reasons. One of the key things, and somebody that's done it, do it yourself, and then also even leveraged employees within my company to do it, is it's hard to take someone maybe doesn't have expertise in this kind of thing. This is very niche. A lot of people aren't doing this kind of lead generation on Facebook. Like, they may not know how to post on social media. They don't necessarily know how to do this thing. And so having had to train my employee to do what I'm doing on there has been a little bit of a challenge. She does wonderful, but it's still not to the caliber that I was doing it. But I just don't have time for it. And so having a dedicated team that knows what they're doing and is doing it day in and day out, make it effective, I think I very, very, very valuable.
I do too. I'm actually getting more excited about it as we're talking about it, because I hadn't talked to other than Andrea, and then maybe some casual conversation, but actually digging into a little bit to see the kind of responses that you guys are getting is pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. So what about negatives on the do-it-yourself side, as far as, but not necessarily the do-it-yourself angle, but are there any negatives or improvements that you think should, be implemented in a service like this?
If you have a comment, John, go.
So there's two sides of this, right? One is other people in the groups tagging you, but a big part of this is you responding. And sometimes, and I don't know how y'all's service that I just learned about today, and I think it's super awesome. I don't know how that's going to deal with that, but sometimes it's hard to get into groups, and you have to try multiple times. And it's only once you're in that group and you're able to respond that you really start seeing results from it.
That's a great point to build on that, and if you can finish your thought in a second. But I think that that's part of the service, is helping that tenacity to get into a group and to formulate that request that just resonates and can help you get in there, optimizing the profile before you submitting requests, all of that kind of stuff. What do you see as the 1, 2, 3 there to help businesses actually get into these groups?
Well, first of all, we have a list of over, I don't know how many Facebook groups. And we already kind of know the qualifying questions. We know what they're looking for. It's always going to be more likely for them to accept you faster if your profile shows that you're a business, that you're a normal person, not a scammer from, another part of the world, because there's a lot of groups like that. So just making sure that we're going back to the optimizing your profile, making sure that looks good, it's in good shape. It'll increase the chances to get accepted. Also, there's a strategy on having like mutual friends with the admins, so that they know that you're a real person, that you're local, that you're here to do business. That's pretty much.
Cool. It's going to be fun developing the procedures around all of this too.
Well, and it kind of sounds like getting into the weeds on it a little bit. This is going to require not just anybody off the street. Like, you're going to have to already have some of those connections online for them to really be valuable as agents of referral.
No, because the agent's going to be acting as the person. So in other words, they just run your profile.
They're just going to go into yours. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But there's still that, if you're wanting to be a client, but you don't have any kind of social media presence, we have to optimize that presence, right? And then we have to organically increase that presence so it doesn't flag anything. And then we have to operate within these groups in a human manner, right? Not be out there trying to buy my stuff and all this ridiculous things. That's not the approach we're looking to take.
Go ahead.
I'd love to talk to the DIY side of that, and the benefit of a service like this is, so my employee actually manages 2 social media profiles, mine here in San Antonio and my office manager up in Austin. And my Austin office manager, he does not have nearly as many contacts or established profile like I do. And so one of my daily conversations with my employee, and when she's going through and looking for things to be tagged in or be associated in, is she's constantly having issues with her Austin one because people aren't taking it as a real profile. And so, yeah, help to optimize those profiles to make them, that they show that they are a real person, that they really are going to be contributing to the community that they're involved in is a key thing in making the system work, because we haven't really gotten much of any business via that profile because it just hasn't had the grounding in the community that's necessary for this method to work.
The human factor.
Exactly.
And the actual engagement on the platform too, and then producing content on their personal platform as well. That's a whole other layer of the service where it's like, you may need to get, I think there's a lot of value in obviously creating grassroots organic content of you out at an event or whatever else, but you can also just set up photo shoots and video shoots where you're actually doing something, it's being captured at a professional level, and now that's what's being posted on your personal profile in a way that humanizes you, but at a higher level. And there you get one day a month, and you've got all your content that you need for the month kind of situation. So it'd be interesting to see how that develops as well.
Right. It's very exciting. Again, I do want to emphasize that we have been doing this. It's not like we just came up with it last night and we're going to test it out. It's proven. We all are benefiting from it. We have numbers, data that prove that this concept works. The only thing is that some people have less time than others, right? Or they just don't have that technological or that interest. I remember talking to you when it was over a year ago. I remember, and I told you need to get on Facebook groups, you need to do this, and you were like, I don't like using Facebook. Yeah, he straight up told me,
No.
I don't. I was like, well, you need to, because that's money out of and, as business owners, we think, okay, Google, SEO, Facebook leads, maybe what is it called? Like magazines, postcards, which are perfect. They're fine. They work for some industries better than others. But again, like I said, the social media platforms, I feel like they're completely forgotten, or a lot.
It's not that I think they're forgotten. I think that people are now, because of the way, and like, mind you, I'm super tech illiterate, but like the way that people interact with social media and ads, I think it's changed. It used to be paying for ads produced results. And I don't think it's the same anymore. I think the internet's changed, and the way we interact with the internet and each other on it has changed a little bit. And that's why in this moment right now, we've been able to identify this almost individually, right? All on our own, being like, oh, wait, no, this is how this thing is going to be successful, and finding success with it in ways that I honestly never thought was possible.
Well, what's interesting, though, is that this is exactly the reason for the social media platforms and groups. We're just taking it back to its original formula, and that is, hey, let's go engage on the platforms with the people that are out there and just look for opportunities and needs that we can say, hey, we know this is a good company, try this one. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but it's just taking it back to where it was. People got drunk on ads, but now Facebook is like, you can't, trying to make a profit off of Google clickbait ads or pay-per-click, and then Facebook, it's just, they've got it figured out. They're straining every dollar out of that, and we're coming ahead just a little bit. So this is a way to kind of work the system a little bit that we're excited to present to everybody.
Well, and it's human nature to always usually trust what other people recommend. When you need, a doctor or whatever, you ask people that you trust, who knows this. Or a lot of new people moving into San Antonio, they ask for recommendations. They're, who knows a good pediatrician, who knows a good lawyer, because they're trusting the responses from other people, that have used those services.
Sorry, no, finish.
No, go ahead.
I actually found that to be the strangest thing about all this. Google is where we go to find things. You search for things, and they have reviews there. Everybody cares about. So the volume of people that were genuinely asking random strangers on the internet for referrals, that was what was really staggering to me. Like, it wasn't just an isolated thing. There's entire groups of tens of thousands of people that basically exist just to ask for referrals, which is...
Yeah,
Sorry for interrupting.
That's the mom groups. That's, it's funny. Someone was saying, why don't we? I can't remember who said. I think it was Francisco, about creating a dad's group.
No.
And I think there's a few.
There's a few. They're not very active.
There's not
I'm a member of them. They're
active.
not very active.
There's nothing. There's
They're dead.
nothing. Because you can see before you join a group, how many posts a day, and it's like 1 post a day. And the mom groups is like 100 posts a day, So women at the end of the day, right? I mean, we do make the decision, right? Usually.
Yeah, which is why probably, I would imagine women are going to be, like, if we have a business that comes to us, like say Alex comes and says, hey, I want to be a part of this thing here. Should we be saying, maybe we should bring your wife in, kind of a thing? Is there a male-female perspective that we need to consider on our strategy?
Definitely, I feel there's more advantages for female profiles.
But to John's point, he's getting referrals out of
true.
Mom's groups,
That's
and he's
true.
not even in there.
Yes.
But I'm getting referrals out of those mom groups because of females
Right.
in the groups referring me.
So we need to, we have to be cognizant of that. as we
Female
build out.
profiles are always, and I've told people, I've told them like, hey, get your wife. We can get them on the WhatsApp chat, so that they can tag you or tag other people. But again, we go back to the wives have a life, they don't have time for that.
Yeah.
They don't know how to tag people. They don't know. It's a job in itself. So
I would say, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we talked a lot about, the labor and sometimes the work of having to respond to everybody that's, hopefully tagging you, right, and trying to get that business. But one of the other things that I felt bad about is, as far as a contributor to the group, and the reason I am using one of my employees to do it is because I couldn't find the time to answer those and then also tag people that I wanted to tag. And so, and without that mutual tagging in a group like that, in the WhatsApp, which we've been using, the whole system shuts down. And so, because you just don't have the reach that you would have otherwise. And so,
and with the do-it-yourself, I mean, again, it obviously works, but I think time, the lack of time, is the biggest issue with everyone, because we wear a lot of hats.
Or what's to say the biggest reason for it is because half of us business owners don't want to be on social media and only have it active for our businesses, and therefore, if I don't need to log into Facebook ever again because someone's taking care of it for me, I would be the happiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be time, expertise, mental bandwidth. I see those as 3 big ones that a service, done for you service, relieves that pressure. But then you got to pay for it, right? I mean, you can't expect it to be free and just get the benefits of it.
Well, if the rate of return for the average customer is anything close to what I've experienced, and hopefully you've experienced as well, it's advertising that makes sense. And not much advertising makes sense when on a rate of return level.
Yeah. Well, I'm not interested in being part of something that doesn't produce actual results, you know what I mean? So, but I know this will. So I'm looking forward to crushing it. All right. Well, John, Alex, thanks for coming in, guys. I appreciate you giving me your thoughts and insight. Andrea, any closing thoughts?
No, not really. Thank you for having me here again.
Yeah, you bet. All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder to check out our latest podcast and catch video versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for this one. You guys have a great week. We'll see you on the next one.